Now that I've got your attention, welcome to the marvelous messy middle. Hey guys, my name is Erica Conway. Welcome to the marvelous messy middle. This is a platform where we talk and share stories, do interviews, and talk a little bit about what it's like being in the middle of things. Today, I wanted to share with you a personal story. So, when I was 10, I had a tickle trunk full of clothes and costumes that I begged, borrowed, bought. I spent hours dressing up in different costumes, pretending to be different people with different lives. I did it because I wanted an escape from the life that I had and the person that I was. Because in my life at that time, I felt unseen, unheard, and irrelevant. When I was 10 years old, my father, who was an alcoholic, decided to leave our family. We had 4 kids. I was the oldest of 4, and he left. And he was gone for about a decade. I never really felt like he saw me when he was around, but him leaving had a massive impact on my life. I became desperate for love. I wanted so badly to fit in somewhere, anywhere. And then I discovered acting and performing. And that lit a passion in me that was unexplainable. I started working at a very young age. I was good at it. I was a natural. I was given incredible roles in theater and in film, but more importantly, I, for the first time, felt significant. I felt like I mattered. People wanted me. And that felt so good. There is nothing that comes close to the feeling of being on stage and having an audience captivated in the palm of your hand. That feeling is palpable, it's real, and it was my drug. And so I followed it passionately, obsessively, never having enough. I could not get enough. I had to go from project to project, from show to show, always needing more. But there was a truth that nobody else knew, which was between every project, between every show, there was a shell of myself that was in this space of just emptiness. And so I did whatever I could to make sure that I didn't have any space between shows, that I just kept working, just kept hustling, because the more I hustled, the less I had to feel those feelings. But the truth is that underneath each character and every role was just me. I looked at that girl. She seemed to me to be emotional, messy, vulnerable, boring, uncoordinated, and unlovable. I couldn't bear it. I didn't like who I was. And I was terrified that people were gonna find out. So I had to keep working. I had to keep hustling. I think some people in life seem to have a defining turning point. I had several things come to a head all at once. It was a combination of failed relationships, failing career, challenging job, constantly putting myself out there professionally, and always coming close but never quite making it. And then, in the middle of all that, in the middle of that crazy mess, I got a nudge. Oh man, have you ever had a nudge? It's like that little voice inside of you that you kind of don't want to listen to, but you're like, oh man, I know that thing that's talking and I need to. That was me. I got a nudge. I couldn't shake it, this calling. And my nudge was just to start writing. And that made no sense to me whatsoever, because in all of the things that I had been doing up until that point, I hadn't been doing anything with writing. I've done music, I had done acting, I had done film, I had done theater, but I'd never written. It made no sense. I had no idea what to write or for what purpose. I just knew I needed to do it. So I did. I wrote and I wrote and I poured my heart out on the page day after day, night after night. It was chaos. It was awful. It was a mess. I was crying, I was vulnerable, I felt weak, I felt angry. I really didn't like what I saw sometimes, but what was happening was I was meeting myself on the page. A lot of those voices that have been driving my life suddenly ended up in my hand and putting a pen to paper. And when I saw the reality of what was driving me, I didn't like it. I didn't like it one bit. And it took a long time. And it took a lot of heartache. But somewhere in the middle of that mess, something started to form. I didn't know what it was at first. It just started to take shape. And the more that I started to write and was persistent, I realized it was a show. And this wasn't just any show. This was unlike any show I had ever done, in fact. Because this show was my words. This show was my voice. It was about significance. It was about owning your own voice and knowing that you are good enough regardless of what accolades, projects, jobs, how people see you, that you are enough. And now on the other side of that, 5 years later, I see that it was one of the most powerful transformations of my life. I wouldn't trade it for the world. That has taken me on a journey, a whole other journey of self-love, and every project I've worked on since that moment has been vastly different than the ones I've done for the past 25 years. I still have messes, I still deal with shit. My life is not perfect in any way, but I feel fulfilled, and that's the difference. Look, when you're in the middle of facing whatever mess you happen to be in right now, those feelings can be unbelievably overwhelming. They feel like an attack. Your world gets really small really fast. We can start to think that something is fundamentally wrong with us. But in that space, if you are willing to stay quiet enough, just long enough to hear your own authentic voice, you just might get a nudge. Or maybe you'll get more than a nudge. Maybe you'll get a whole speech. Maybe you'll get so fired up. If you pay attention and you listen to that voice, that one that's in the midst of the mess, the one that's in this stillness, that's you. And if you can just trust you, and if you can just trust that long enough to follow it through, to hear it out, to hear what it has to say, and to move from that place, transformation is inevitable. Your life will change.
If you ever had a passion to be deferred, there's a powerful message in this show.
Once you hear your voice and you feel it, you will start to understand the unbelievable, insurmountable power that your own voice has. And it is a whole different kind of power. It will push through and crack every single box anyone has ever put you in. Because nothing is stronger than authenticity. Nothing is stronger than your personal voice. Listen guys, I still have a tickle trunk. I still love being on stage and performing and holding an audience in my hand. I still love winning and getting awards, to work at a high level. I love the challenge. I haven't lost my passion for any of it. But I'm not hustling for it anymore. And because I'm not hustling for my self-worth, I have so much more power to give. You are relevant. You are significant. So in the middle of this time, in the middle of this extravagant mess, when you clear all the cobwebs away and you drown out the rest of the noise, what's your voice saying? Maybe it's time to find out. Oh my God, this is on backwards.